The so-called Endless Abyss was the boundary between human and demon realms. A liminal space, it was full of peril and the unknown. Twisting, tearing vortices through space, raging flames and burning magma were everywhere to be found. The disciples on the scene had fought the entire way here, and their bodies and hearts had long been completely exhausted. After that violent quake, most of them tumbled to the ground. Only Shen Qingqiu, Luo Binghe, and Shang Qinghua managed to stay standing. Since the Endless Abyss had been opened, that meant something demonic would definitely appear from the other side. The three held their breaths in anticipation, silently waiting and on full alert. The figure of a man slowly emerged from the shadows. As soon as Shen Qingqiu saw the ice-cold face and aloof expression, he knew who it was. He shot a glance at Shang Qinghua, whose whole face had gone white. Shen Qingqiu wanted to laugh, but he was unable to. Why would Luo Binghe's future subordinate, his magnificent right hand and best buddy for committing evil deeds, murder and mayhem, show up right here and now? Mobei-jun was a pure-blooded demon, a supremely orthodox demon second gen. In the future, he would inherit his family's territory on the demonic border in the north, and after that he would spend all his time appearing and disappearing at will, idling his life away, completely indifferent to everyone else. However, this maverick was destined to get beaten up by Luo Binghe, who had suddenly cultivated his overpowered abilities. Thereafter, he would mysteriously capitulate to the protagonist, to the point of letting himself be ordered about. From then on, Luo Binghe would have an exceptionally badass-looking errand boy and loyal sidekick. But to be clear, according to the original timeline, there are still 500 chapters before it's your turn to debut, Great Master. Who is this distinguished one? Shang Qinghua yelled as he rushed forward. Why have you come to this place? Isn't that your real boss? Wasn't he the one who ordered you to release these dangerous creatures into Juedi Gorge? No, please go ahead and keep pretending. Mobei-jun tilted his head. Half of his handsome silhouette sank into the darkness, a chilling sight. With a half-hearted flick of his finger, he flung Shang Qinghua into the air with sudden force. Shang Qinghua crashed into an old tree and fainted, blood spurting unceasingly from his mouth, spurting until Shen Qingqiu couldn't help but sigh with respect. Such effort, such dedication, bro, you sure do a lot for your career. After paying his respects, he sighed again. He had known it would go like this. In the end, he would still need to step in. Holding his sword before him, Shen Qingqiu spoke, neither humble nor haughty. A demon. This line was pointless bullshit. Anyone who couldn't see those murky billows of demonic chi would have had to be blind. A white figure flashed past him. Without saying a word, Luo Binghe had moved to stand in front of his teacher. They just argued, and now they faced a powerful enemy. Yet, he still played the role of a human shield without hesitation. It would have been a lie to say Shen Qingqiu was entirely unmoved. But the more moved he was, the more he felt that what he was about to do was just too cruel. Shen Qingqiu wished that his student had done nothing at all. Binghe, stand down, he said. Luo Binghe did not reply, and he did not leave. He calmly met eyes with Mobei-jun, entirely unaffected by his imposing aura. Mobei-jun let out an "huh?" of curiosity, like he had found something that aroused his interest a little. What disciple has to shield his master? Snapped Shen Qingqiu. So, you're a disciple of Changqiu Mountain? Asked Mobei-jun. Disciple of Changqiu Mountain's Qingjing Peak, Luo Binghe, thanks this distinguished one for his guidance. Luo Binghe replied coldly, his tone sarcastic. Mobei-jun sneered. The immortal acts unlike an immortal, and the demon acts unlike a demon. Interesting. At this, Shen Qinqiu finally caught on to something. Could it be that Mobei-jun's appearance was a substitute for the Black Moon Rhinoceros Python's role in advancing the main storyline? Quote, immortal, unquote, probably referred to Shang Qinghua, who was lying off to the side and playing dead while occasionally remembering to cough up blood. Though clearly a cultivator, he tirelessly labored for the demonic realm, indeed completely unlike an immortal. Yep, that was a fair accusation. As for the, quote, demon, unquote, who on the scene could this refer to other than Luo Binghe? Shen Qinqiu's thoughts turned and whirled. He wasn't sure if Mobei-jun could really see Luo Binghe's hidden bloodline with a single glance. Luo Binghe saw his master's furrowed brow and feared that Shen Qinqiu was angry at his own disobedience. Shizun, he wouldn't let any of us go. It'd be better to use all of our strength and fight this battle together. That's true, but it'd also be fucking useless. But Shen Qinqiu said, if you stay here, you'll lose your life in vain. Dying for Shizun or dying together with Shizun, either one is something this disciple would gladly do, said Luo Binghe. Mobei-jun scoffed, you'll battle with me. The following, such foolish arrogance, was left politely unspoken. Good thing you didn't say it out loud, thought Shen Qinqiu. In 3 years' time, Luo Binghe will be able to single-handedly beat you until you can't get up, and won't you still become his diligent hunchman? You'd really be slapping your own face. Fine, said Mobei-jun. Then let me see. Before he had finished speaking, the killing intent in the air around them spiked. His steps agile and unreadable, Shen Qinqiu flashed in front of Luo Binghe. With his left hand, he tossed forth Xiuya to hold off Mobei-jun for a bit, even if it would be largely ineffective. At the same time, with his right hand, he lifted Luo Binghe like an eagle would to a chick and hurled him away. Once he sent Luo Binghe outside the range of Mobei-jun's demonic qi, he turned and met palms with Mobei-jun. When their palms connected, blood churned in Shen Qinqiu's chest as if someone had punched him there. The spiritual energy in his body surged like it was boiling over. Though he had already formed a core and his cultivation wasn't low, what was a golden core against the right hand of the future demon lord Luo Binghe? But he had to go all out and try. Throwing himself into a desperate battle to death without regard for his own life was the only way to survive this. According to Shen Qinqiu's experience from 10+ years of reading all sorts of wuxia and xianxia novels, temperamental Chunis had a degree of respect for hard-headed types who fought bloody battles to the end and refused to admit defeat. But they definitely didn't show any mercy to cowards and weaklings. Having been caught off guard and hurled away by Shen Qinqiu, Luo Binghe doubled back and sheathing Zhenyang's sword. Mobei-jun spared one hand to flick away the white sword glare he threw. Zhenyang couldn't withstand the massive influx of demonic qi, and in an explosion of white light, it shattered into pieces on the spot. Mobei-jun held off both of Shen Qinqiu's hands with just one of his own, his power overwhelmingly superior. Bored, he blasted Shen Qinqiu away. Unusually inferior talent, he said. Foundation and techniques inflexible. Leave. Shen Qinqiu said nothing. He wasn't some unmatched genius in the human realm, but his talent was still at least 1 in 1,000. And Changqiu Mountain's foundation and techniques weren't inflexible, they were orthodox. Mobei-jun still described them as he would a pile of garbage. And if the original Shen Qinqiu had heard this, he would have coughed up at least 3 liters of blood and run away crying to make a voodoo doll. Luo Binghe didn't care that his sword was broken. When he saw Shen Qinqiu injured by this palm strike, blood dripping from between gritted teeth, Luo Binghe's gaze frosted over, his aura changing in an instant. Sensing this shocking change, a cold flash of interest shot through Mobei-jun's pale blue eyes. He abruptly summoned a pure black sword of ice out of thin air. That blade became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8, instantly dividing into an array of hundreds of ice swords, which shot at the surrounded Shen Qingqiu from all directions. No normal defense technique could possibly block these ice swords. They were crystallized from the purest demonic qi. Shen Qingqiu's spiritual qi was nearly exhausted. If his power collided with Mobei-jun's, it would be like a single spark against a towering wave. The end result went without saying. Just as Sword Array was about to come down like sheets of rain, Shen Qingqiu snarled within his heart. I've done my best and he still thinks I'm low-level trash, so what can I do? How loathsome. If I have to die, couldn't it at least be in a better-looking way? After being stabbed by hundreds of black swords, I'm going to be a sieve. Who could bear to look? However, even long moments after, the pain of being skewered by thousands of swords did not arrive. Unless Mobei-jun had suddenly lost his mind and revoked the sword array, there was only one explanation. Only one person who could have blocked this attack that seethed with murderous intent. Shen Qingqiu steadied himself and slowly raised his head. As expected. In the air all around him, the forest of swords had shattered. They splintered so completely that it was like they disappeared without a trace, leaving only a night sky full of black ice crystals. Reflecting the moonlight, they fell one by one. This scene could have been described as beautiful. However, Luo Binghe, standing in the middle of it, was the center of a blizzard that seemed to roar around him within his gaze. He could only be described as terrifying. Shen Qingqiu collapsed next to a large tree, swallowing mouthfuls of blood. He circulated energy to heal his wounds while watching this earth-shaking showdown between two demon lords. The seal on Luo Binghe's blood had yet to be removed. Mobei-jun was only testing him, but still this battle darkened the sky and earth, blotting out all light. Raging waves of demonic energy overflowed from both of them, enough to cloak the entire sky. Wasn't this area within the range of the 1,000 leaves fresh snow lotus? That's what it's called, right? Right. Demonic creatures were supposed to be afraid to approach its proximity, but as soon as this inescapable smog of demonic qi touched the flower, the snow lotus that brimmed with spiritual qi wilted and rotted down to its roots. All the demonic creatures hiding in the dark crept out one by one, greedily inhaling what to them was a fragrant scent. Several ghost spiders stealthily crawled onto a few of Changqiu Mountain's disciples, hairy legs poised to stab into their temples. Shen Qingqiu was nearly out of spiritual qi and was unable to use spell attacks. He could only directly grab the beasts by their filthy tangled hair and throw them aside. He aimed before he threw, making sure to toss them toward that traitor, Shang Qinghua. Meanwhile, Mobei-jun had pretty much finished testing Luo Binghe, and he prepared to wrap things up, sending out one last blow. With a flick of his finger, he fired a stream of scarlet light at the center of Luo Binghe's forehead. Once that stream of light touched Luo Binghe's brow, it seeped into his skin, turning into a fiery red mark. Luo Binghe was lost to his bloodlust. He didn't know why, only that his head ached like it was about to explode, and he nearly collapsed to his knees. His entire body roiled with a desire to inflict savage cruelty. Unable to vent it, he threw out his hand, and as if shot out of a cannon, an eruption of demonic qi descended upon Mobei-jun. This last strike was extremely powerful, yet Mobei-jun waved it away with a hand, a bit surprised. Not bad, he said. Ignoring whether Luo Binghe was in a state to understand him, he continued. This human realm isn't where you belong. Why not return to your origins? Now Shen Qingqiu was finally 100% sure. Mobei-jun's sudden appearance was indeed a substitute for the black moon rhinoceros python. But compared to the original, Mobei-jun had done a far more thorough job. He actually directly removed the seal, suppressing Luo Binghe's demonic blood.